Hey guys, FirstinWeather here. I'm glad to be back again, and luckily for you guys, this is my first winter weather related video for the 2018-2019 winter season. Feels good to be finally making a video for the winter. As many of you know, the winter 2017-2018 was quite interesting, and I was a little bit off the mark due to the NAO. So this winter I really do hope to be much more accurate and to give you a reliable forecast. So this video will be focusing on the El Nino that is speculated to be forming right now, and this is the Nino 3.4 index, a specific part, the most common, the most commonly looked at area for determining the state of the El Nino or La Nina. And so as you can see, we've been really on a complete upward trend. It's basically line of best fit. If it were to be drawn, it would probably be like this, or a little lower like this. We've just been going in a complete upward trend diagonally. And if you recall, this winter we were actually in a pretty good La Nina, and all the models were indicating that we would slowly start warming up, and we have actually started warming up, and actually pretty fast actually. This is if you look back to April 19th, which is right here, you'll see that we were actually in the La Nina stage, or below the 0.5 level, and now we're right about around, excuse me, sorry about that, right around the 0.3, 0.4-ish level, and we are expected to just keep on rising as we get closer to fall and winter. And so now let me transition to the International Research Institute for Climate and Society. It's a big name, very useful for people like me. Basically, they combine all the models and their forecasts, and they basically all throw it into a graph or a chart that shows what the models are thinking and what is forecasted to happen. And so this chart right here shows you the probability of having a La Nina, an Enso phase, or neutral conditions where waters are 0.5 Celsius above or 0.5 Celsius below the average, and then a La Nina, or an El Nino, or sorry about that, La Nina at top and El Nino on bottom. So as you can see right here, June, July, August, high probabilities for neutral conditions, right? Now, if you go through time, you'll see that the risk of the chance of a neutral phase starts to decrease, while the risk of an El Nino phase continues to increase. And if we look at December, January, February, right here, you'll see that we are at a 70% chance of seeing an El Nino during that time frame, with about a 27% chance of seeing neutral conditions, which leaves basically almost no chance, or very little chance, of seeing a La Nina forming during the months of December, January, and February. And so this shows the confidence that the weather models are showing right now. The weather models are showing right now in an El Nino forming. Now it's just how intense will that El Nino be, and will it form on time. And let me just show you this chart right here. This shows you the probabilities in basically a chart. You can see December, January, February, El Nino 70%, 27% neutral, 3% La Nina. So obviously all the models are very much in favor of an El Nino forming. And now to look at how intense this El Nino could be, let's go to the next page. So this is basically this is basically combining all the weather models and just basically putting it on a graph and showing what the trend is going to be. And so again, let me show this to you. So 0.5 and negative 0.5, those are neutral conditions. So right now we're in neutral conditions, all right? Anything above positive 0.5 is an El Nino. Anything below that is a La Nina. 0.5 to 1 is weak, 1 to 1.5 is moderate, 1.5 above is basically very strong, not very strong, but moderate to strong. And so as you can see right here, right now we're neutral. July, August, September. So August, we're again still neutral, but getting up to that 0.5 mark. September, it looks like we might finally break that 0.5 mark. Then October, still rising, basically rising for many months. And then December, January, February, where are we there? Well, we're right here. This green line is basically the mean of all those models. Basically, so you know what the mean is, basically all the models added up, divided by that, and you hit this average, and this is the average of all the models, and as you can see, you're slightly below that 1.0 line, which is the 1.0 line and above is moderate, and so we are right below that, just below that. So we're in a strong, weak El Nino, so to speak. And so this is the part where the forecast is not certain, where confidence is lacking. Many times you can't even determine whether you'll see a weak or moderate El Nino weeks, like just a couple of weeks before a said time. So this is the area that's uncertain. I expect a lot of fluctuation between weak, moderate, maybe even strong. So sometimes the models might suddenly say, oh, we might go to a strong El Nino, but right now I think most likely we're going to be at a strong, weak El Nino, or a weak, moderate El Nino. It's a play of words, so let me say it again. A strong, weak El Nino, or a weak, moderate El Nino. That's where I'm thinking we're going to be during the months of December, January, February, meteorological winter for 2018-2019. And so now, let's see what an El Nino means for the winter. I just want to clarify that the El Nino is not the only factor for the winter. There are many, many, many other factors. Just to the NAO, the PDO, the AO, the QBO, just to name a few. But the El Nino and what the state of the El Nino or La Nina, that is one of the biggest factors, emphasis on biggest, that determines our winter. And while you have many other factors that can very severely impact your forecast, this is a significant chunk in making that forecast. So let's look at what an El Nino usually means. So I went to NOAA's analog website, and so I basically plugged in a bunch of analog years where you had varying degrees of El Nino strength: weak, moderate, strong, super strong. And the years I used were 1951, 53, 57, 63, 65, 69, 76, 77, 82, 86, 87, 91, 2014, 2015, 2009, and 1968. Those are the analog years I used, and as you can see, that's right here. Whoa, what's that? I don't want that. Okay, that's weird. And let me just circle the analog years, December through February, and I used the 1951 through 2010 long-term average. All right, and so this is what played out during those El Nino winters in terms of temperatures. So you had this distinct line right here. So you had cooler temperatures right on here, and then you had this distinct area of warmer than average temperatures in this area right here. So warm, cooler than average, and then this little sliver of average to slightly above average right on here. All right, so it's like, wow, that's pretty interesting. All right, and then I went to precipitation, and as you can see right here, we generally have above average precipitation in this belt along the southern third of the country, and then you have this distinct area, or this circle, of below average precipitation right here, and then you have a little other area below average here, and so what this shows is that El Nino years, typically you're going to see cooler conditions in the south and the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, eastern half of the country, and then warmer conditions in the northwest, upper Midwest, and these areas, and then average conditions in like the center diagonally running across the country, somewhat like this. All right, and then in terms of precipitation, above average in the southern third of the country running up the eastern coast, this big defined area of below average precipitation in near Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and then some patches of below average precipitation in the northwest, especially around Seattle. And so, and to be honest, I really wasn't surprised with these results. I already knew what El Nino conditions typically bring to the United States, but I just wanted to show you and prove to you that that's what typically happens with El Nino winters by giving you these analog years. So that pretty much concludes my video. Just to summarize, I'm going with a strong weak El Nino to a weak moderate El Nino as of now for December, January, and February. for the winter of 2018-2019. That is definitely going to fluctuate a little bit, and I look forward to making many more forecasts for this winter in the coming months, and I'll be releasing my first preliminary winter forecast right around I guess late August or early September. That's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.